Good morning out there, everybody. Alan D9J Sports. Hey, we're right back at it with another show. Hey, it's Thursday morning. The weekend's closing in. We've got a good show lined up for you this morning. We're going to be talking about karma and how karma didn't take long before it started knocking on Shannon Sharpe's door. So let's jump right into this thing. So we all know that Shannon Sharpe, the NFL Hall of Famer, hey, one of the greatest tight ends ever to play football. But right now, these days, he's most notably known for his podcast and the work that he's does on his podcast with another future, a great NFL Hall of Famer. Now we know that Shannon Sharpe also has some sit-in time on one of the best shows on sports shows on TV. But his podcast, oh yeah, it's one heck of a podcast, or should I say, it was one heck of a podcast. We all know about Shannon Sharpe. He done one of the best interviews ever on podcast when he had Cat Williams come on his show. And true enough, one of the most important things that as we look back, what Cat Williams said was about this is the year of the truth. And if you've been living under a rock, then you don't know. But if you've been paying attention, everything that Cat Williams said about all the lies will be brought to the forefront. They're definitely there. And in this case, the podcaster, Shannon Sharpe, well, he's front and center in one of the biggest controversies. Well, is it a controversy? No, it isn't a controversy. You get my drift. But he's front and center in one of the biggest things, one of the big sports stories that are out there. Shannon Sharpe, one of the problems that a lot of people had or do have with Shannon Sharpe is the way he conducted himself once he got on top. Once he got on top, he started to do things that was really for a lot of people, that was out of character, right? You remember the one time where he had the episode where he went in on his co-host about him being a few minutes late. Those are just some of the things, or some of the antics that he would use. You remember the infamous thing when he was at the NBA game and he acted crazy with a couple of the NBA players, those type of things. But right now, he's settled a lawsuit. So we must agree, if he settled the lawsuit with the young lady, then she is the victim. But when I say karma is knocking on his door, what I mean is, you got to be careful about a lot of things that you say. Even though we all have our own outlet now, things are different. You can get on your podcast, but you got to be careful about what you say. Some of the times when Shannon Sharpe was going down on some athletes, and I'm going to tell you the truth, he's going down on a lot of black athletes. Okay, we know Deshaun Watson and all the terrible things that, not just allegations, because he paid him off too. So you know that he was guilty for his things. But Shannon Sharpe was giving his opinion and saying that things like Deshaun Watson apology was out of pocket and he wasn't giving his apology at the right time. Well, look how things happen now. You see how karma will come knocking on your door when you're not careful about what you say and about what you do. Yep, karma is knocking on his door. Most of the time, it seems like it takes a long time for a person's karma to come around. But in this case, it didn't take long. And just yesterday, the judge ruled that the young lady that he settled with cannot destroy the tapes. You know what that means? That means there are going to be future things, future allegations that are going to come out. They're going to be putting more cases against Shannon Sharpe, and so he can't destroy the tape. And his mouth. You remember when this all first started, Shannon Sharpe, he was going against Tony Busby and said it was a shakedown. Well, lo and behold, as you look up a couple of months later, well, if it was a shakedown, well, then they shook the tree real good. Shannon Sharpe going down on people all of the time on his show, but then behind the scenes, he was one of the worst ones out there. One of the worst. But these aren't the first allegations that we've heard about Shannon Sharpe. But now that karma's knocking on his door, I wonder what he's going to do now. And I don't want to kick a person, I guess, when they're down. But isn't that been his motto, to kick athletes when they're down? And to go down on him and give his opinion. And if his opinion if you didn't take his opinion, he'd be wrong. Do you remember? Now, the one thing and don't get me wrong, I like Shannon Sharpe and his podcast. I watch the show sometimes. But one of the things that turned me against him was, I was watching the show one night and he started to talk about, he was getting into it with another sports columnist or another YouTuber, and we all know who that is. And he said, yeah, and he went into the thing about, yeah, that's why a lot of you out there don't get but 100 views or 1,000 views on YouTube. Well, that kind of set me back right there. It set me back with Shannon Sharpe because let's be honest about it. All of us out here in the YouTube streets, we work hard. We work very hard to try to get videos. Some of your videos hit, some of your videos don't hit. But for somebody of his caliber, NFL Hall of Famer, to come on and say that somebody's lazy because they don't get only 100 or maybe 1,000 views or 5,000 views, that's out of pocket. Because if I can guarantee you, most of the people that you see on these shows that are big name former NFL players, and if you're an NFL Hall of Famer, you know people are going to tune into your show. But a regular person trying to find their niche, trying to get their way, that was an out of pocket comment that was landed by Shannon Sharpe. But when karma comes knocking on your door, what are you going to do? I'm going to stay tuned to see what's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to get his gig back on the world-renowned sports show. I don't know. I don't feel any sympathy for him because, let's be honest, we've all made mistakes. But sometimes you have to understand who to have in your circle. And at this age, he's around my age. At this age, man, you shouldn't really have that many people in your circle. And you really should be paying attention to who the hell you're dealing with. Whether it be a female, a male, what type of job, who you're hanging out with. You got to be careful. You got to be careful because it'll cost you. And no, us regular people, it wouldn't cost us, I don't know, 13, 14, 15, 20, 50 million dollars. But it can still cost you in a way that would hurt you. So, once again, karma's knocking on Shannon Sharpe's door. Karma's knocking on his door. So I want to see what he's going to do now. Is he going to be brash like he's been before? Or now is he in a position to where he's going to have to humble himself? It's Allen with D9J Sports. So on your way to the office today, I want you to remember, treat people the way you want to be treated. Say things about people that are only positive. When you have something negative to say, like our grandparents used to tell us and our mothers and fathers, don't say anything at all. Just because you have a media outlet, let's not take it too far. Allen with D9J Sports. Be careful, and we'll see you in the morning. I'm definitely